There's an article here from Bankrate.com that says just 18% of working Americans are saving more for retirement now than they were a year ago. Retirement's a hot-button issue right now, especially for baby boomers. This article says actually 17% are saving less than they were a year ago. 54% are saving about the same. Hello again, this is Mark Huffman, and you're listening to Moneywatch Radio. And retirement savings, or saving for retirement, can be a problem in and of itself, but the bigger question for a lot of people who have been saving is, have I saved enough, and how do I make my money last? We're going to look at that today because joining us is Jane Bennett Clark, who is senior editor at Kiplinger Personal Finance, who's written a terrific article called Making Your Money Last. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Okay, let's start with the understanding that most people in retirement accounts are usually made up of a stock portfolio consisting mostly of mutual funds. Other people have, you can have other things, but for the typical person, you've got... you might have individual stocks, but most people have a collection of mutual funds. In your article, you lay out some rules and advice for making the most of this money. Let's look at your rule number 1. Don't dump stocks. Why not?
Well, with increased longevity, you could easily end up living for 25, 30 years into retirement. So you really can't afford to ignore the effect of inflation on your buying power. That means, on your retirement savings over several decades. And so in order to beat inflation, you do have to invest some of your savings for growth, which means investing in stocks. The general guideline is to keep about like a 40-60 mix in stocks and fixed income investments. So it would be 40 to 60 in stocks at the start of your retirement, and the rest in cash and fixed income. And then as you grow older, you might want to adjust the mix a little bit to be more conservative.
Okay, when you talk about more conservative investments, fixed income investments, you normally are talking about bonds. But in the last decade or so, dividend stocks and companies that pay shareholders a dividend, Coca-Cola, IBM, good examples. These have become increasingly popular for retirement assets, particularly because, let's face it, interest is very low. You can't earn very much money on bonds or, heavens forbid, a CD. These dividends look pretty attractive. Any downsides you see to dividend stocks?
Well, some dividend favorites are becoming expensive, so you kind of have to be picky about what you're getting. And also, obviously stocks can fall when interest rates finally do rise, so you have to just watch out for the risk on that side.
Jim Cramer has famously criticized 401k programs that many corporations operate, criticizing them for a lack of attractive investment options. And normally there's a range of mutual funds to choose from. Do you have any feeling about whether people are better off with these mutual funds or with individual stocks, or maybe even something else?
I really think that most people don't have the interest or the time or even the knowledge to track individual stocks and to be stock pickers. So, if you like to do it, then great. But I think that mutual funds are the logical choice for most people.
Now, in your article, you talk about the bucket system, putting your retirement money in a bunch of different buckets. Explain that.
Okay, well, that sounds like a kind of fun way to allocate your retirement accounts. But really what it is you are investing enough money in liquid conservative accounts to cover several years' worth of basic costs. And then you might create another bucket with investments that give you more potential for yield, and that would cover some of your discretionary expenses like travel. And then a third bucket, if you would be really for stocks or growth investments. So that gives you the part of your allocation that is going to generate that growth. So then as you go along and deplete the first bucket, you would replenish with the second or third. The idea is to not put the money you need right away at risk, but to still invest enough money to generate growth over the long term.
So it's a way of separating your assets so you can more easily track them.
It's really an asset allocation strategy. There's nothing too, it's just a way of framing it that gives you a sense of how to keep your living expenses kind of preserved from risk and then still get some growth.
Okay, we've been putting money away in a retirement account for 30 years or so, and it's accumulated, and now we're retired, and now we need the money. So to make the money last, how slowly or quickly should you withdraw it? And does the old 4% rule, taking out roughly 4% a year, still apply?
Well, that's a good question because the 4% rule became a little bit less ideal in the bear market. People were taking money out according to this rule and really kind of delivering a blow to their savings by doing so. But the fact is, it's still a good starting point. You can always adjust. You don't have to stick with it rigidly. So if you say, just to explain the 4% rule, that would be taking 4% out of your initial, the first year of your retirement, and then adding an inflation factor to that in the following years. But in any event, maybe in a down market you would want to downscale that a little bit and take 3%. If your investments are doing really well 1 year, you might want to take more because, after all, you deserve to be able to spend your money and enjoy your savings. But you just don't want to tap it out too quickly. So that's why you kind of have to use some common sense.
Okay, I want to go back to your rule number one about not dumping stocks. And in your article, you highlight or you profile a couple, and they did not panic during the 2009 downturn. They held on, and they did very well with the recovery. What's your sense of whether that was the exception or the norm?
Well, I don't have statistics on that, but I know that there were people who did get out of stocks during the height of the bear market. And so, they sold when stocks were down, and they missed out on the stock market comeback. So they kind of lost in two ways. So the longs really were smart to hold tight and just ride it out.
What do you think the most important thing boomers 5 years or so from retirement can be doing right now that can help their retirement fund last a bit longer?
Well, the obvious answer is that they can be saving as much as possible, and including taking advantage of the catch-up contributions to their 401k and their Roth IRA. So that's a good opportunity for them to really pile money into their tax-deferred accounts. They could also consider working past retirement age, which would let them continue to put money in their retirement accounts, and also gives a shorter period over which they would be withdrawing the money. So that's another twofer. And one great way to make your money last in retirement is to delay taking Social Security until you hit age 70, because if you delay taking it or do not take it at full retirement age, you boost your benefit by 8% a year for every year you delay until age 70. And that can be a huge, huge advantage when you are in retirement.
Good advice. Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Jane Bennett Clark, Senior Editor at Kiplinger Personal Finance. Check out her article, Making Your Money Last. And we'll leave you with this. 46% of Americans have less than $10,000 saved for retirement, according to the Employment Benefit Research Institute. 40% of baby boomers now plan to work until they die, according to AARP. This is Mark Huffman, back with more about you and your money on the next Moneywatch Radio.